Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to JT's Vintage Card Room, hosted by me, JT. Hope you're all doing well today. I thought I would tell a story about my 1941 play ball set. Um, I always say that in the end, I'm trading paper for cardboard. It's kind of my tagline. And I believe an episode or two, I sort of mentioned that there was going to be an episode on trading paper for paper. And we're going to get to that at the very end. I'm sure you'll figure it out quickly. But I am going to talk about my 1941 play ball set, which I got a few years back. I play in a few fantasy baseball leagues, and there's an older gentleman who was a original member of the league, which goes back into I want to say the early 80s. I joined in probably the mid 90s or so, maybe a little bit later than that. Anyway, this gentleman who unfortunately recently passed, I believe it was 93 or 4 years old. He and I used to talk before the season about baseball and what have you. Some of the players that were coming up, or some of our draft strategies, stuff along those lines. And one year, just in passing, I don't know how it happened, but we started talking about baseball cards. And I told him that it was a passion of mine, and that it's something that I've really gotten into over the years. And he says, "That's interesting." He goes, "I have some baseball cards." Now, keep in mind, at the time, he was probably 90 years old, 89 years old. I said, "Really, what do you have?" He goes, "Well, they're from when I was a kid, when I first bought them." And I'm thinking back now quickly in my head, and I'm like, "Wow, so, do you know what they are, what they look like?" He goes, "I don't know what the brand was." He goes, "But I can explain to you what they look like." And he started explaining to me 1940 play balls and 1941 play ball cards. And he mentioned that he had a couple of DiMaggios and even a Ted Williams. I'm like, that sounds like a 40 and 41 play ball set, Steve. Steve was his name. Um, and I said, "Well, if would you ever be willing to sell them? Let me know." He goes, "I would absolutely be willing to sell them." I'm like, "Okay." I was always a fan of the 41 play ball set. I've really come to appreciate the 40 play ball set. I would definitely say it's my preferred of the three play ball sets. Um, but at the time, I was always interested in 41 play ball. And I'll get into some older stories about some of the cards from that set as we get through it. For those of you who don't know, the 41 play ball set. Before I get into that, so Steve says I would absolutely be willing to sell it. So I go over to his house. He lived about 20 minutes away from me. I go through it. I bring a price guide with me, and I go through it with him. And I basically say your cards are worth X, and I would give you X, which was, I think, 80% of value. Might have been a little higher than that because he was a friend of mine, and it was a set I was interested in, and he had some pretty neat cards. And he actually played ball for a while, semi-pro, and played with the guys like Ted Lepsio, I think is how you say his name, and a few other guys. He actually showed me some clippings of some of his glory days when he was playing with guys like that, and he had mentioned, like I said, a few major leaguers that he had played with, and he was very proud of his playing days. He went on to become a state trooper and so on and so forth. Anyway, just a really nice guy. And when I told him the offer, he's like, "Wow, that's pretty good." Because I had somebody come in here a couple years ago, and they really tried to lowball me. And I said, "Well, I'm not going to do that to you, Steve." I go, "But are you sure you want to sell those?" He goes, "Well, the only thing I'll tell you is that I want to make sure my son is not interested." And when you hear something about your son, I said, someone's son, I said, "Listen, if you keep it in the family." I go, "Obviously, these things mean something to you." He goes, "Yeah, but we'll see what he says." And I'm thinking, son, you immediately think of son, you're thinking like a little kid. His son at the time was 70 years old. So he probably, I don't know if he was interested or not, but we're about to find out. So a week goes by. I don't hear anything from Steve because he had told me he was going to have dinner with his son, the next day or the day after. So I call him up and I say, "Hey, Steve, I guess your son decided to keep the cards, which is great." I go, "It's you should keep them in the family." He goes, "Actually, no. I've been meaning to call you. It's quite the opposite. He'd rather have the money." I'm like, "Okay." So I went up there that very same day and I picked up the cards. And I didn't know at the time. I mean, when I went through the cards, I kind of leafed through the Hall of Famers. I put the Hall of Famers aside, the commons and the semi-stars, and when I was explaining prices. But I wasn't paying attention to how many in the set he had. Turns out he had the whole set from 1941 play ball and had just about the entire first few series. I don't know how many series are in the 1940 play balls, but basically all the way up to the high numbers. He had all but like one or two, which is tremendous. I, of course, went on to complete the 40 play ball set as well. The cards were from his childhood, so he played with them. They were clearly not in great shape, which you're about to see. And some of them I went to replace, give it a little better look. And I since moved the ones that I had upgraded to a friend of mine who actually has that set now too. So, Steve, you've paid it forward twice in essence. So for those of you who don't know about the set, it's 1941 play ball. There's 72 cards in the set, very attainable. There's a couple of big cards, but for someone who's has a reasonable budget, it's certainly a beautiful set that is very not huge set, pretty easy to put together. I liken it a lot to the 34 to 36 Diamond Stars, another set which I have, and I'll do a video on that one day. The Art Deco type design. The play balls have kind of that feel to them. A lot of the pictures that are on the cards are the same as in the 1940s, but just color added to it. And it was the final major issue set of pre-war sets in 1941. And back in those days, you would go to your local candy store or drugstore, and for a penny, you'd get 2 cards and a stick of gum. And they were issued by it was Bloney Gum, and the cards were issued by Gum Inc., which was owned by Jacob Warren Bowman of Bowman baseball cards fame. J.W. Bowman, he started Gum Inc. and eventually formed in 1948, as most of you know, the Bowman sets until he sold them to Topps in 1956. This is the only set that shows all 3 DiMaggio brothers in their playing days in one set, which is interesting in its own right. I'll get into the last part also. So let's look at some cards. I don't want to talk too much. This is the first card in the set, Eddie Miller. Eddie Miller was a All-Star a couple times. Obviously the number 1 card in the set, so it always is a little bit harder to get. A little bit of a premium. I'm going to go through all of them, but I'm going to go through them quickly. I don't want to, bore you. Max West. They had some interesting nicknames on some of these. Here's Bucky Walters. Duke Derringer. It's a neat card with different colors in there. Again, the real Art Deco feel to it, in my opinion. Buck McCormick. Here's a Hall of Famer. Carl Hubble. The horse. Danning. I'm not going to speculate on why he was called the horse, but a pretty cool card with that. I don't know. I'm a little colorblind. Maybe a peach background? I don't know. Here's one of my all-time favorites. Mel Ott. I actually have a nicer one, which I will show later, but consistent with this set, I wanted to have a Mel Ott. And this set's, for the most part, I would say probably good to VG. Maybe some are a little bit better. Here's Pinky May. Archie Vaughan. Archie Vaughan had a career where he won a batting title, Hall of Famer for those of you who don't know, and for the first 10 years of his career batted over 300. He was one of the very few who had done that. A long time ago, I did just a look through the all-time leaders in batting average, and just to see how many of them actually never had a season under 300. I don't think there were any. In fact, I believe there was only one that did not hit below 290, and that was Sam West. So even Ty Cobb in his first year, granted it was very few at bats, did not. No, it was like about 135 at bats, but he didn't hit above 290. And Shoeless Joe, I think, had a couple of years where, very early on, where he just didn't do much of anything. Debs Garms, Jimmy Brown. This guy's a little more famous, Jimmy Fox. I have a beauty to show you later that I had bought long before I had this set. The Beast, Double X. Definitely one of my all-time favorite players. Here's Joe Cronin. Joe Cronin is a Hall of Famer. He actually won the MVP in 1930. He had, I'll keep his card up while I talk about him. I have a little bit of notes here on him. He had 13 homers, 126 RBIs, 127 runs, and batted .346 with 17 stolen bases. Certainly a very good year and worthy of an MVP in 1930. Interestingly enough, there was a guy, though, in that same year who came in 10th. I'm going to say it again after I'm done with the stats. 49 homers, 153 RBIs, 150 runs, .359 batting average, and led the league in WAR. And he came in 10th. Might have heard of that guy. He's Babe Ruth. How do you come in 10th with those stats? I mean, no disrespect to Joe Cronin, but 10th? And Joe Cronin had good stats, but the Babe blew him away. I don't know. There might have been something I might have read a long time ago where they didn't vote for Hall of Famers more than once back in those days, but I don't know. Then why include him on the ballot at all? I mean, he was on the ballot several times. Anyway, here's Hal Trosky. Stormy Weatherly. Pretty cool nickname. One of my favorite players also, Hank Greenberg. I have a great Hank Greenberg story. I have an upgrade to this that I'll show later on. Long ago, when I was a kid at a flea market in central Jersey, I bought a Hank Greenberg 41 play ball, this card itself, for $1. It was beat up. And back then we're talking about the early 80s. Cards weren't worth what they are worth today. And a friend of mine sent away his cards, and a lot of people still do that today, to the players for their autograph. Back then it was all free. And Hank Greenberg was a real gentleman and signed pretty much anything. So I sent my card to him. Sure enough, I got a card back signed by him, and it was signed beautifully in black marker, like right below it in his feet. It was spectacular. And I sold that card when I sold all my cards back in my early 20s. And I should have held on to it. And I think it was an REA auction about a year or two ago that had a signed Hank Greenberg card, and the autograph was a 10. And I swear that was my card. I swear it. Everything about that card, every little new issue that it had with that card, which I was very familiar with because it was one of my favorite ones, was exactly as I remembered it. Same thing all the way across the board. Whether it was or wasn't, I don't really know. I think it was. And it sold for something like $2,000. Just amazing. Charlie Gehringer. Charlie Gehringer is actually my favorite card of all time. Not this one, the 33 Gaudy, which I have that set also, and I will be doing a video on it. But that purple background and the 33 Gaudy Charlie Gehringer, I believe, might be my all-time favorite card. This was not bad, though. I love the flags in the background. Red Ruffing. Yankees pitcher, won 4 years in a row, won 20 games or more for the Yankees from 36 to 39, I believe. It's hard not to have those kind of bunch of World Series when you play for the Yankees in the 30s and the 40s and in the 50s too, for that matter. Okay, here's Charlie Keller. Indian Bob Johnson. You can't say these names anymore. Interestingly enough, his name is actually Robert Lee. Mac McQuinn. Like the background on that one. Dutch Leonard. This is a really cool card. Looks like he's ready to come right through your TV screen with that pitch. Very nice. Gene Moore. Harry Gunboat Gumbert. I have no idea how we got that name. Babe Young. Joe Marty. I know a Joe Marty. I don't know if there's any name relation to him or not. Who knows? Maybe. Jack Wilson. Lou Finney. Joe Cool. Might have said his name wrong. Taft Wright. Happy Milner. Raleigh Hemsley. Pinky Higgins. Barney McCoskey. I'm a fan of this card. Soupy Campbell. Look at the background of that. That's just so cool. The stadium. Clouds in the background. Really neat. Atlee Donald. Tommy Henrik. Oops. Johnny Babbage. Frank Blimp Hayes. Jersey boy from Jamesburg and died in Point Pleasant, not too far from me. Wally Moses. Albert Brancato. Oops. Sam Chapman. Eldon Auker. Sid Hudson. Buddy Lewis. It's another nice one. Cecil Travis, like the sign at the top of the stadium. Babe Dahlgren. Johnny Cooney, another nice background. Dolph Camilli. Very Art Deco-ish on this card. Kirby Higbee. Luke Hot Potato Hamlin. Now that's a nickname. Hot Potato Hamlin. Probably the big rookie in this set is Pee Wee Reese. I have an upgrade on that too, although this one's not too much worse. It's a pretty nice card. By the way, on the backs of these, they do give pretty nice description of the player. It's accomplishments for the year, previous years. Whit Hyatt. Johnny Vandermeer, or in this case, Vandy Vandermeer. Owner of the only player to throw 2 no-hitters in a row in Major League history. Mo Arnovich. Apologies to the Arnovich family if I said that wrong. Frank Demery. He is another favorite set of mine is a 38 Gaudy heads up, and he has a really cool card in that set. This one's nice too. I like the green background. Bill Jurgis. Chuck Klein, big Philly guy. Triple Crown winner. Won the MVP once. Came in second twice. And believe it or not, the year that he won the Triple Crown is one of the years he came in second. Go figure. Lost to Carl Hubble that year. Don't know if I remember what year that was, but he had 3 unbelievable years in a row. And interestingly enough, I wouldn't say it was his worst year, but it wasn't his best that he actually won the MVP. Here's the first of the DiMaggio brothers. Here's Vince. Ernie Fletcher. The Little Professor. Dom DiMaggio. DiMaggio brother number 2. Bobby Dorr. Great card. Great Hall of Famer. The background of this is just outstanding. Love the image of this. Get a little closer. That's just a That's just a great card. Bobby Door's got some really awesome cards. I have a lot of them. Tommy Bridges. Harlan Clift. We're nearing the end here. Walt Judnich. Jack Knott. George Case. Bill Dickey, Hall of Fame catcher who taught Yogi all he knew. Great player. And then we have, next in line is actually the Joe DiMaggio, which I'll save because I have that one graded. And Lefty Gomez, who was two-time Triple Crown winner, which is pretty amazing. That's for pitchers. That's wins, strikeouts, and ERA. I think I have one of these graded as well. Let me just slide some cards around here. So going back, there's a graded Dom DiMaggio. Really great center fielder also, like his brother. Here's a Joe Cronin. Here's a better Archie Vaughn. Better Chuck Klein. Talk about cards that would not get the grade they did back then. Today, here's a perfect example. There's no way in hell this would be a 5 today. Still a beautiful card. I don't really care, but there's just no way. You see all the some staining on there, I guess you would call it. Off center. I mean, it would probably be a 2 or a 3 today. Pretty amazing. Here's a Hank Greenberg, really sharp card, but it is miscut. Sorry, not miscut. Although it is probably borderline miscut. There's a mark on here somewhere. I don't know if I ever found it. Don't care. Melott. This is one of my favorite cards from this set. I didn't say anything about Melott before, and I should have. He was the first guy in the National League to hit 500 homers. And he was not a big guy. 5'9", 170 pounds. To be a power hitter and to do it in the Polo Grounds, I mean, that's what a tremendous player. Probably doesn't get enough credit for how good he was. There's an upgrade on that Pee Wee Reese. Like I said, the other one's not bad. This is a nice 4, reasonable 4. Other ones probably would also be a 4, maybe a 3. This is a monster. I bought this long ago. This was probably the most I spent on a card. Jimmy Fox. Like I said, I'm a Fox guy, and to have an 8, and granted, this is an old flip. I always want to say slip, and I think I have said slip 1,000 times in my videos. Flip. It's an old flip. It's been redone, obviously, not by me, by someone else. But the serial number is 0700, so this is definitely early on, but it is really a spectacular card. It's very well centered. There's not a thing wrong with it. It is deserving of an 8 even today. So yeah, the Beast, Double X, great card. All right, here we go. Ted Williams. This was part of Steve's collection. Most of these are. Again, they were all this type of condition. 1s, 2s. Occasional 3. I only got a couple graded. This was one of them. I have Ted's Rookie, which is the 39 play ball. I'll probably do a little something on that set as well. I don't have that whole set. I'm not really a big fan of that set, but I do have all the Hall of Famers from that set, which is pretty neat. And here's the Joe D. This is a card. When I saw this, I was like, man, I hope he sells it to me. Now, this came back as minimum size not met. Again, he bought this as a kid, so the first time I think I sent this in kind of aggravated me. I think they said it was trimmed, and I don't think an 8-year-old in 1941 would have had the wherewithal or the thought of even taking a scissor to a card. It made no sense to me. So on one of the few times I've sent it back in a second time, I think I've done this might be the only time I've ever done it. it came back with a more proper minimum size not met, which simply means that the manufacturer did not cut it fully, which I'm perfectly fine with. The colors on this are nice, really nice. So, it probably would get a 1 or a 2 anyway, but to me, this is all about the registration and the color, and this one is not blurry at all. It's got some, really nice bluish purple. Again, I'm a little colorblind, but I like it. I think it's a very nice card, and a tribute to you, Steve. And finally, I end every one of my videos saying that in the end, all we're doing is trading paper for cardboard. And like I said, I alluded earlier in a video, probably 2 or 3 back, that I was going to do something with trading paper on paper, for paper. And that's what I'm going to talk about right now. The play ball set was done in 1941, and there was a paper shortage. Cardboard was, at a premium. So play ball did a paper set, hand-cut set, 24 cards, I believe, all hand-cut. And I had the opportunity to buy this. I'm pretty sure this was from Ballpark Memories. Jared, I think. Yep, Jared. The Hubble image on this card is just awesome. It's not the traditional mopey, sitting on the edge of the stairs like he has on his 34 Gaudy, his 33 Gaudy, on his he looks like he's pissed off all the time. The 39 play ball. There's a few of them where he just looks like he's just not a happy camper. And there's the back. I don't have a lot of 9s in my collection. Probably the newest card I have is 1976. No, actually, that's not true. I do have a Ken Griffey Jr. Rookie from Upper Deck. So that's my newest card. So for me to have anything in this kind of condition is kind of rare. But I was really happy with this. And in this case, I did trade paper for paper. And I did it responsibly. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the 1941 play ball set. And thank you, Steve, God rest your soul, for passing these along to me. And I will treasure them forever. Have a good day, everybody.